How do you find the will to fight back against a world that wants to keep you sedated, average, and stuck in place? Join us for the tools and strategies you need to create a life of abundance, discipline, and high achievement. This is the Tactical Empire with Jeff Smith.
Welcome to another edition of the Tactical Empire. I'm here with Shawn today. What's up, brother? How are you?
Good. Here we go again. T-shirt, backwards hat. I don't control the heat in my commercial buildings for this office because this is a maze of a building. So whoever in another office was super cold today, they cranked up the heat. So it's like a sauna in here.
Sweating?
If I put my arms up, y'all are going to see some pit stains. I got this gray shirt on.
I was sweating. It's cold.
Old Texas, getting whipped. The old Dallas Cowboys. I don't know if that's a sensitive topic for you, but they got whipped.
Not for me, but that was a beating.
The rest of the state's paralyzed today. So you better be going out and making some moves because no one else is doing anything. They're all sulking their wounds from that playoff.
Exactly right. Exactly right. We're going to talk business today.
Yeah, let's go, man. We don't just work with business owners. Let's stipulate that. Someone messaged me on Facebook the other day, like, I'm not a business owner. Can I be? I'm like, dude, like, we're not. Business owner is not in the definition of our avatar, but I believe there are lots of principles, not only in business that people should implement in their personal life, but also just the characteristics of business owners and entrepreneurs. I think from a characteristic perspective, individuals could learn a lot from entrepreneurs. Our country's built on the backs of entrepreneurs, but that's not quite what we're talking about today. But a topic that does come up for business owners is, they're willing to drop 40 grand on a mastermind. That's fantastic. They're willing to drop 40 grand on a piece of equipment or equipment. They're willing to put 40K into their self-employment IRA. They're willing to extract that 40K from their business and put it in a property. Big fan of that. But yet they get hesitant to take that same 40 grand and buy and invest in the right person. That could bring their business 120 grand, 150 grand. And they get hesitant. Maybe it's fear out of putting money into an individual that they, quote, don't control. And I don't want to say that business owners are controllable, but humans are volatile. So how do we help people, business owners specifically, view the investment in the right who that can be the greatest? We talk about not killing your golden goose, but I think some business owners need to help reframe where the dollars in their business are going, and sending the dollars to the right person could be beneficial for all that are involved in that business. But I'm going to let you run with this one.
Well, I mean, we've got a lot of experience in this, right? I've been mentoring people for like 10 years in specifically the gym space. I've been mentoring for 7 years. And so we've seen a lot of this go on, I think. And ultimately, I think it goes back to scarcity because they don't have a confidence in themselves that they're going to get the ROI with the investment. Because anybody would be silly to say, hey, I'm going to give you give me 100 grand and I'll give you 200 back. Like anybody that said no to that would probably need their pulse checked. It doesn't make any sense, right? But that's what you do when you invest in your people. Like essentially you are building a team. And I think that the biggest thing we can do, and I'm not great at this, admittedly, like hiring and firing and identifying talent and figuring out what you need for a role is not my skill set. I'm a visionary. So like I'm fucking looking for the most exciting solution to everything. And like that, and I can, with that, I can find the good in anything. Like you can bring me like a horrible human being and I'll be like, but he sells real good, but I'm sure this will work out. And like, like, don't be a murderer or like child molester. And you're like, I can find the good. And like, I'm like, let's roll. This guy is going to be the shit. And fortunately, my wife is not like that. She has a much deeper filter. And so she looks out for us on a different level because I am excitable. Like I can get excited about opportunities, about people. And so like for me to interview people is not a good thing because like I don't have that same filter. So, I mean, what do? Just like anything else, you put a structure or a framework in place that buttresses up against that and keeps you safe. And so what I did in the hiring process was I brought in other people to filter these people, and I didn't show up till the very end. And they were like, here's 3 people. Which one do you like best? Like, they'd already jumped through a million hoops to get there with people that have a much higher like BS filter than me. And so not to get totally off topic, because I know we don't have a ton of time on this episode, but like I think that skills in hiring and in understanding the belief system you need, and so I just kind of provided a solution. You have to figure out a hiring solution for yourself, or dig deep on why you have a scarcity mindset on that.
Mm.
And so, because unlocking your entrepreneurial potential and actually building like a self-operating business should be your pursuit all the
Yeah.
time. And so what does that look like? It looks like working yourself up and out of that business so that you can oversee it and operate in your zone of genius with the majority of your time each and every day, right? So if you're in the nuances and down in the weeds in your business, you're not serving everybody the way you should be, because you're doing all these things that you're not the most talented at. And so there's scarcity of leadership from a mindset. Like I can't lead these people, and there's scarcity of money because most entrepreneurs come into the game and they're top line accountants, and they look at the checking account and they spend whatever's in it, and like that keeps them chasing their tails for years. And so being able to identify talent and invest in it is probably the best investment you can possibly make if you have access to a business. Because that person, if you put $1 in, kicks you more than $1 back out, right?
Yep.
It's the scenario where you give me 100, I'll give you 200. And so you have to grow your skill set in order to manage, and your mindset in order to manage and lead a group of people, and also have enough self-belief and consistency. That's why, I mean, personal development is the most important thing you can be doing on a regular basis. Because like, if I want to level up my team and bring on true A players, you've got to look at yourself and say, am I in fact an A player that these motherfuckers will follow? Or am I a C player that they're going to run all over me or be disappointed and quit, or
Yeah.
whatever it is, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not a labor law lawyer, but we talk about with people in our groups, like, hey, just because this person is going to require 40, 50, 60, 70 grand a year, that doesn't mean you're committing to that person for the full year. So again, not a lawyer here, but what guardrails do you have in place to have, some sort of agreement to where, hey, this is going to be a 90-day employment trial here, and I'm going to invest blank amount per month to get you up to speed. Most likely that person is not going to return zero, right? We are small businesses. We're not multi-million, billion-dollar corporations that we have to invest 70 grand just into the education of the person first. Like, our businesses are pretty damn simple. There's operations, there's marketing and sales, and then there's freaking the control of the money and finances. Like, that's not that tough in the nitty-gritty of the specific actions that need required. So how can I commit to you and you commit to me for 90 days? And then we're going to reassess where we're at. That way I'm not sinking 12 months into figuring out if you're the right person or not. And we always hang up like, hey, that person's not the right fit for me, but like, I can't let them go, blah, 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 blah. Like, hey, that's not benefiting you and it's not benefiting them. Just because they're not the right fit for you doesn't mean they're not the right fit for someone else. So if you're tagging them along, you need to do your duty to let them go so they can find the right company. Don't want to fall down that rabbit hole. But what I want to bring into the conversation here, because it goes on to something else that you said in terms of leveling up. We just had a conversation with a husband and wife couple, just hit their first $1 million in their small business this year. And that's fantastic. And they've obviously done the concepts and principles of moving up the ladder, say a value ladder, right? I'm no longer going to do the cleaning. I'm no longer going to service the $20, $30, $40 an hour jobs. I'm going to move up, do the sales, marketing, handle the money, do the leadership, do the meetings, blah, 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 blah. And they get there and their business does well. And then for some reason, they get hung up on staying in that field. And they're like, I'm doing all high value tasks. But still, even at the high level, not all high value tasks are the same value. There
Mhm.
will always be a lower value task on what you're doing. So Jeff said you have to work in your zone of genius, your unique ability, your queen bee role, whatever that is, whatever you want to call that. But there's
Mhm.
still going to be something that's on your plate, even if it pays you $1,000 an hour. If that's the lowest dollar amount per hour for that work that you're getting, you need to start figuring out how you're going to allow someone else to take that over so you can start leveraging the other high value roles. I know not everyone can fill 40 hours a week of just the highest value. I get that. But
Yeah.
use the same principle that you used on the other things here at this time. And at this level, it will require an investment in terms of time and money. So that's where we say about the 90-day guardrails.
Yeah, but I think that 40-hour metric is just nonsense. It's just conventional thinking. It doesn't matter. Like you may only
Gold.
do your zone of genius for 4 hours a week,
Hell
and the
yeah.
rest of the week is spent preparing for those 4 hours.
I
And
love that.
and like as you become more and more talented and more skillful at what you're delivering, you demand more and more money for that hour. So
Damn.
like if it takes me 36 hours to prepare for my 4 hours of fucking presenting this
That's right.
podcast or whatever, like, okay, that's something you have to evaluate. Like, can you eat? Can you pay your bills? Can like ultimately not. Most of us do other shit throughout the week that also pays us, but it pays us at a different pricing tier,
Mm,
right? And like that's okay for a period of time until you become so undeniably great at what you're doing that you don't have to do anything else
mm.
out of that sphere, right? It's just like building that org chart that I discussed with everybody recently. And like at the beginning, you got to clean the fucking toilets.
Mm.
And you should, as a leader, be willing to do that forever, no matter what. But over time, if you're the 4 hour man, and like your 36 hours are not spent cleaning the toilets because you don't have the ability to and the bandwidth to be involved in that. And that's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, let me change the frame here. I know a couple minutes here, but like that resonates with me because I have 3 people in mind that I need to say that to in a slightly different context. It's like they do get this time back and they're used to doing 12 hours a day. Now they're doing 4, 5, 6, and they get stir crazy. And it's not that they should just sit around and twiddle their thumbs. Like if there's something to be done, do it. But what I tell them is like, congratulations, you just earned the freedom to rest and relax regardless if let's say your unique ability takes 4 hours a week. At some point there's going to be a fucking fire. So not only do I want you to be fresh for those high value 4 hours, I need you to not overburden yourself with just shit to fill your time, because that's going to wear you down when next week shit hits the fan, when next month shit hits the fan, when next year shit hits the fan. As an entrepreneur, you need to be fucking ready to do 2 things: your unique ability to max out the time in which you're investing in that time for yourself. And when that one thing that happens that's going to fucking take you away from that for a little bit of time. Now, the goal is when those fires occur, you're learning lessons so that it's going to take you shorter and shorter and shorter amount of
Yeah.
time to get these fires out. But we know that we're all still human. So when those moments happen, our first inclination is go fucking emotional and get crazy. So you need to be, like Jeff said, working on yourself, reining in your emotions, recognize your emotions, rest and relax so you don't get burnout from minute tasks. And then the fire hits and you're not fucking ready emotionally, physically, mentally, financially, whatever. But go ahead and give me your last tidbits on advice for business owners here, and then we're going to send them off.
I think people need to be more cognizant of how much work they need to do on themselves. Like ultimately, that's what it is about. Like, don't go out looking for 8 hours a day. Like, you have an obligation to lead these. Like, you cannot level up. Your ceiling is met with regards to how you're showing up, how consistent you are, how dialed in you are, and how large your skill set is, right? It doesn't need to be a narrow skill set. Like, to lead an organization, you need to have a broad general skill set, right? But that's why when I'm talking about this stuff, like they're like, how do I fill up the whole day with appointments? And I'm like, you don't fill up the day with appointments. You go work out, you eat good
Hell yeah.
food, you fucking take care of yourself, because when that fire comes, you have an obligation to show up as your best version of you.
Yeah.
And
You
if
can't
you've
afford
done
not to do that.
if you've done 16 sales calls today, you can't fucking show up as your best version of you. And,
That's right.
and like that's the bottom line. And these people have a tendency to fall back to what they know, which is their safe space, what they're good at, what they're talented at. It may not even be their zone of genius, or maybe it is, but you cannot run a big organization and be a master marketer. Like at some point you've got to cross the lines into this generality of leader, CEO, visionary, and be available from that headspace.
Well, before you touch a pain point for me in regards to what I see from entrepreneurs and just high level people. If you're not taking care of yourself, you fucking lost me. Like, so before I get on that soapbox, that's going to be for another episode. Jeff, I think that nailed it. You guys have to be providing time for yourself. It's not just about filling your 8 hours with fucking bullshit work. You are the asset. You are the asset. You are the asset. Physically, mentally, get yourself right. And then your team will follow suit. Jeff, send us off.
Well, I thought of our next topic for next week, so we're ready.
Dude, I know if we had time to record, we'd be hitting pause and then re-recording because I'm fired up over that statement.
Thanks, guys. Have a great week. We'll talk to you in 2 days or something. See ya.